If you own a gun in America, the rules just changed overnight. A federal court dropped a ruling this month that rewrites every gun law in this country. 10 massive changes are in effect right now. Law number 10 will shock you. Something that got people arrested last month is now completely legal. Subscribe now so you don't miss what could save you from arrest and federal charges. Law 1. Highest level constitutional protection. This is the most important change you need to understand because everything else builds on this foundation. The federal court has placed your Second Amendment rights at the highest level of protection under American law, the same protection given to freedom of speech and freedom of religion. What does this mean for you? In simple terms, anytime the government wants to restrict your gun rights, they now have to pass the toughest legal test that exists. They can't just say a new law might help reduce crime or make people feel safer. They have to prove 3 specific things to a federal judge. First, they need solid evidence of a real crisis, not just opinions or feelings. Second, the law has to target only that specific problem without going overboard. Third, they must use the method that limits your rights the least. Here's the game changer. You don't have to explain why you deserve your rights anymore. The government has to explain why they should be allowed to take them away, and the bar is set incredibly high. This one change puts over 400 federal gun laws in danger of being thrown out. Law 2. Police officer personal liability. Police officers who violate your gun rights can no longer hide behind legal protection. For over 40 years, something called qualified immunity gave officers a free pass when they violated constitutional rights. Even when officers clearly broke the law, courts would dismiss lawsuits if there wasn't a previous case with almost identical facts. That's over now. If a police officer violates your gun rights under this new standard, they face serious personal consequences. We're talking about lawsuits that can drain their personal bank accounts, possible federal prosecution, losing their job permanently, and in some cases, even criminal charges. In Harris County, Texas, 3 deputies were ordered to pay $2.4 million out of their own pockets after they arrested a man who was legally carrying his gun at a gas station. Law 3. Red flag law elimination. The government can no longer take your firearms without following proper criminal procedures. Red flag laws that allowed police to confiscate guns based on someone's complaint have been ruled unconstitutional. For the last 7 years in many states, these laws let police take your guns without you committing any crime. Here's exactly how it worked. Your ex-spouse, a neighbor, a coworker, or even a stranger could file a complaint saying they're worried about you. A judge would hold a secret hearing without you there, without you even knowing about it, based only on the other person's story, with no chance for you to defend yourself. The new ruling destroyed this entire system. Now the rules are clear. No taking your guns without arresting you based on probable cause. No taking your guns without formal criminal charges. No taking your guns without full due process, including your right to face your accuser. Police seized over 12,000 firearms this way in just the last 3 years. Law 4. Federal Database Destruction Order. Every digitized gun owner record the federal government has been keeping must be permanently destroyed within 90 days. This is one of the biggest privacy wins in modern history. The ATF has been quietly building a searchable database of gun owners for years, even though federal law specifically prohibits a national gun registry. Every time a gun store goes out of business, federal law requires them to send their records to the ATF. The ATF was supposed to keep these as paper records only, with no searchable database. But starting around 2013, they began secretly scanning and digitizing every page. They used special software to make the text searchable. They built a sophisticated system that could search by your name, your address, the type of gun you bought, and serial numbers in just seconds. The ATF has collected over 920 million firearm transaction records. They've digitized more than 865 of them.
The court didn't just say this was wrong. They ordered complete destruction with serious penalties. The ATF has exactly 90 days to provide certified proof that every digital record has been permanently erased beyond any possibility of recovery. Law 5. Warrantless digital surveillance ban. Government surveillance of lawful gun owners through their digital footprint is now completely prohibited without a warrant based on probable cause of an actual crime. For years, multiple federal agencies, including the ATF, FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and even the NSA, were running surveillance programs specifically targeting lawful gun owners. Here's exactly what they were doing to track you. They monitored when you visited gun stores using your phone's location data collected from cell towers and apps. They had real-time alerts that would flag anyone who spent more than 10 minutes at a gun store or shooting range. They tracked your credit card transactions through partnerships with payment processors. Any purchase from a firearms dealer, ammunition retailer, or gun-related business was logged in a federal database. The court ruled that owning firearms is a constitutionally protected right, and exercising that right cannot justify surveillance. Over 50,000 American gun owners were being actively monitored through these programs. Early settlements are averaging $40,000 to $65,000 per person. Law 6. 30-day permit approval mandate. Getting a concealed carry permit just became dramatically easier, faster, and cheaper across the entire country. The court established 3 mandatory rules that every state must follow, starting immediately. First, permits must be processed and issued within 30 days maximum from the date you apply. Second, states cannot require you to prove good cause, proper reason, or justifiable need for wanting to carry. Self-defense is sufficient justification, period. Third, application fees are capped at $50 total, including fingerprinting, background checks, and all associated costs. Before this ruling, restrictive states made the permit process as difficult and expensive as possible. New York was taking 8 to 12 months to process permits in most counties. California was charging $300 or more in combined fees. In New York alone, there are currently 47,000 permit applications that have been sitting for more than 30 days. Under this new ruling, every single one of those is automatically approved by law. Law 7. Unrestricted ammunition sales. Buying ammunition is now treated like buying any other legal product, and states can no longer impose special restrictions that don't apply to other goods. California required background checks for every single ammunition purchase. That's eliminated. New York banned online ammunition sales completely and prohibited shipping to any address in the state. That's eliminated. Connecticut limited how much ammunition you could purchase at one time to no more than 1,000 rounds in a 30-day period. That's eliminated. Illinois required a special ammunition purchaser ID card separate from your firearm owner card. That's eliminated. The court recognized something obvious that anti-gun states tried to ignore. A firearm without ammunition serves no purpose. In the last year alone, California conducted over 4 million ammunition background checks. Of those, approximately 62,000 were wrongly denied due to database errors. Online ammunition retailers report that sales to previously restricted states have increased by 340% in just the first 3 weeks. Law 8. Federal Firearms License Protection. Licensed firearms dealers now have the same legal protections as any other legitimate business, and the ATF can no longer use minor paperwork errors to shut you down. For decades, the ATF has used aggressive inspections to close gun shops they didn't like. They'd spend hours looking through your record book trying to find any tiny mistake. The court made it crystal clear the ATF cannot revoke a federal firearms license unless there's an actual criminal violation. Law 9. Fourth Amendment Home Protection. Federal agents cannot enter your property for firearms inspections without a warrant, and those surprise compliance checks are completely gone. ATF agents have been conducting warrantless home inspections of gun collectors and home-based dealers for years. The court made it clear your home is protected by the Fourth Amendment, and owning guns doesn't change that protection one bit. Federal agents need a warrant with specific criminal allegations before they can search your property. In the last 3 years, the ATF conducted over 2,400 warrantless home inspections. Law 10. Cross-state travel immunity.
You can now travel across state lines with your firearm without fear of arrest in restrictive states, even when driving through states with the strictest gun control laws in America. For years, gun owners have been absolutely terrified of driving through states like New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and California. People were getting pulled over for routine traffic stops, and even when the gun was locked in the trunk, unloaded in a case, they were arrested on the spot. The court's ruling makes this crystal clear. If your firearm is legal where your trip starts and legal where your trip ends, you are protected by federal law the entire way. Period. No exceptions. No state can touch you. In New Jersey alone, over 800 people were arrested in the last 5 years for possession of firearms while traveling through the state. Every single one of those cases is now being dismissed or having convictions overturned. These 10 laws just changed everything for gun owners across America. Subscribe now and share this with every gun owner you know. This information could prevent someone's wrongful arrest.